Good morning, and thank you so much for creating time for NewsCheck on this 21st day of October 2020. We are hoping that you're keeping warm wherever you are. It's very cold right here in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. But either way, we are going to be warming up your morning by having conversations that will be informing you on some of the issues that touch on how you can better and enhance your life wherever you're catching this broadcast from, as well as giving you links of events that are shaping the news on this 21st day of the 10th month, the year 2020. My name is Safina Cheng Oma, and our sign language interpreter is Lucy Mwaura. Today, lined up ahead on the program, we will be talking about road safety. And of course, we are also going to be linking up with our reporters who are out and about tracking some of the day's events for you. There is an ongoing presser that we are expecting from KMPDU that should be happening any time from now. And of course, we are also going to be looking at a unique surgery that has happened. The Kenyatta National Hospital today is expected to be giving an update on a successful hand surgery on a 7-year-old boy. We are going to be getting the details of this unique and very successful milestone in the health sector in our country as we proceed in the course of this particular program as well, among other stories that our news team is working on for you. So the day's coverage of the latest happenings begins right now on NewsCheck. Remember, it's a program that invites you to share your views, opinions, and questions. So you can do that at KBC Channel 1, at Safin_Acheng on Twitter and on Facebook. You can also communicate with me at Safin Acheng. Now, allow me bring in my guest for the program this morning. We are talking about road safety. And of course, we are going to be shifting this conversation to focus on taming the Bodaboda menace in the country. And I'm talking about none other than Mr. David Njoroge Kiarie. He is the chairman of the Road Safety Network Association. Thank you so much for creating time for us.
Thank you very much.
Perhaps a good point to start this conversation would be for you to break down for us what the Safety Network Association is all about, so that for viewers who have been concerned about road safety and stakeholders who should be doing something to enhance this in our society, they can get to understand more about, what you do.
Thank you very much. Normally, our main work is to make sure that our roads are safe. This is to give civic education to the pedestrians, Bodaboda riders, all stakeholders involved on road safety. The government, where we see there is loopholes, we try to negotiate with the government and the bodies which is the relevant bodies. So that is our main job. Yes, as Road Safety Association of Kenya. Yeah. And
after having said that, I would then ask you this question. From where you sit, do you feel that our roads are safe?
Let me say they are not at all safe. Our roads are not safe. Because we are supposed to be responsible, all of us, on our roads. And one, we don't want to follow the laws, which our government has tried very much to give us enough laws in this country. But those people who are supposed to implement the enforcement is not there. So somewhere people are sleeping on their jobs. And we are trying to push as much as we can, because we are losing so many people in this country. And we always start reacting when we get the figures. Like 2 weeks ago, when the figures were released, it was 2,600 people had died on our roads. That is the time we saw police running on the roads, coming up with roadblocks, to check on what? On the people who have died? No. So we are saying now we have to look for a new approach about this, because it has been a discussion. Year come, year go, we keep on discussing and we keep on losing our people. So something must be done to make sure that we save these lives.
What is that thing that needs to be done? We'll be talking about that in a bit. But now that you've brought up the issue of numbers, allow me just paint a picture for our viewers on how bad the situation is and why we need to be having this conversation and why we need to do something as soon as yesterday to stop, what we are witnessing in our roads. You've just talked about some numbers that were released 2 weeks ago, and I would like also to share something that stood out immediately after some of the COVID-19 restriction measures were lifted. This is around the month, or just almost at the start of the month of October. Between October 2nd and 4th, there were quite a number of road accidents that led to the death of about 60 people. And this, according to the National Police Service, they say that most of these deaths were strongly, aligned to the fact that on the first weekend, most bar operations had commenced since the COVID-19 restrictions had been lifted, and these deaths may have been attributed to speeding and drinking while driving. So 60 people within a span of just 2 days. This is something that we cannot just take lightly. And just taking you back, the number of people who died in road accidents last year increased by 13.6% to 3,586. This is according to the economic survey of the year 2020. And it is something that just paints a picture of how these numbers keep rising and how unfortunate the trajectory of the curve of road accidents is taking shape in our country. I'd leave the Bodaboda sector aside and now bring you in on that particular matter, just to also paint a picture for us on how the situation is when it comes to the accidents that involve the Bodaboda riders and even those who use that means of transport, and why when we are talking about road safety, we need to break it down and look at the different types of means of transport and why the Bodaboda menace is such an issue today.
Let me say, one, we have to understand that because of our economy, we have so many jobless people outside there. And now this business of Bodaboda, when it came, most people thought it was the right business to do and get something for a living. And like today, we are talking of about 1 million riders out there. And when these things came, there were no proper rules and regulations which were put in place. So by the time these things started happening and people started dying, the riders, this is the time the government came rushing to make sure that they put the rules and the regulations. And you remember sometime last year, Matiang'i was very vocal on this, how we are going to streamline our that industry. But all of a sudden, we don't know what exactly happened, because even today, we have never, the audit has never come out. And the measures which were taken, seriously speaking, nothing is happening. Today, you will see a rider out there just riding his motorbike without a helmet. They drive without licenses. These people are not properly trained. And this as a business, and for sure, we cannot do away with it without those riders. But proper measures should be taken, and that is our government. The same thing they did in COVID. We could see the Ministry of Health, the good work they did in this country, plus our president. They came up very strong, and out of the measures which were put, that is the reason we did not have so many deaths. But now, even compared the deaths we have in COVID and the people we have lost on our roads, we have lost a bigger number compared to COVID. And we are still losing these people. And even if you compare from January to this month, how many people have died in COVID? Very few. How many people have died on road safety on our roads? So many. So and this thing is continuing. This is the time our country is opening up. So now you can start imagining what is going to happen, because people don't want to follow the law. The way people are pushed that you cannot even walk on a street without a mask. You must wash your hands. You must do all these to make sure that we avoid COVID. The same thing should be done on our roads, because there are rules which are supposed to be followed, and these rules are not followed. The enforcers are not there. Nobody is there. They just come when things have happened. Today, if you have an accident happens and 10 people die, today you will see this country, everywhere you go, you'll see crackdowns. They come when things have happened. Why can't we forget about that and say we don't want anybody else to die on our roads? Because the accidents which happen in this country, we cannot call them accidents. They are crashes. They are things which can be avoided. Because in a fraction of a second, you'll do a mistake and you are gone. But if proper rules are followed, I'm telling you, these numbers will reduce. If the people who have been given the job to do, they do their work the right way, these things will stop. But to us as Road Safety Association of Kenya, we are saying, we are blaming even the leadership. Because if the leadership can come out very strong, make sure that everybody understands what are you supposed to do when you get into that road. Today we see everything, anything is happening everywhere. Licenses are coming. You will find somebody getting a license when he's at home.
All right. Let me take you back a bit. And I like, how this conversation is taking shape.
Yeah.
You say that the leaders ought to step in and ensure that every person understands what they're supposed to do when they're on the roads.
Exactly.
I believe before you get to a point where you are on the road, either you are cycling or you're driving a vehicle, there's a process that you're taken through in terms of the training and even before you get the license to do that.
Yes.
During that process, isn't that the right time to actually ensure that this person knows what they're supposed to be doing on the roads, not blaming the leaders?
Let me tell you, as I told you, from that process, the starting process is rotten. That's what I want to tell you. Because first of all, our driving schools. Can we talk of driving schools in this country? What that process whereby somebody is supposed to be taken over that process, that is what we are lacking. That is what we are asking. Before somebody is given that license, there is that process which he must go through that process.
So is that system working?
The system is not working. This is why I'm telling you, today you can get a license when you are there, just seated there. If you have your money, the license will come. And that is the wrong way. Because when you get that license, you don't know how you're supposed to drive that vehicle on the road. So automatically when you're given that license and you are not properly trained, what will happen? It is only in Kenya, and I want to tell you, and in Africa countries, whereby you can just get a license the way you want. If you go to Europe, getting a license is something you have to work for. They have to make sure that you understand this process, that before you get in your vehicle, first of all, you must wear that safety belt, because it is about your life. But we don't have that. That is where the problem is. And where I'm mentioning leadership, because we could see what happened when COVID came, the leadership, whatever the measures which were put in place. Because already we did not have proper laws of COVID, but they were put in place and everybody was forced to it. To tell you for sure, Kenyans need to be forced, because even giving you way where there is way, they can't give you way.
Isn't that supposed to be the last resort though? Because if we are looking at something that has been a long-term problem, that means whatever has been done before has failed to work. The laws have been there. We remember the time when the late Mishuki was really in charge of the transport sector. The Mishuki rules, they worked for some time, and then we kind of like relaxed on them. The safety belts, the speed governors and all that. We remember when Matiang'i, really cracked the whip on the transport sector and imposed quite a number of rules in that particular industry. They worked for some time, and then we relaxed. Isn't it about time we think of another direction of addressing this problem, as opposed to just putting on laws and rules and being tough and punishing those who using punitive measures?
Let me tell you, when Michuki came in, there's nothing Michuki did. There was nothing to do with the Michuki rules. The rules were there. All what he did is to make sure that he enforced those rules. Now, immediately he enforced the rules, things changed. When Matiang'i came and enforced, we could see the change which was there. So we need people to enforce those rules. Because as I'm telling you, a very good example with Michuki, as you have mentioned, Michuki did nothing. It was only to enforce these rules. And we reduced this number by 30% during his time. So we need proper leadership, people who will command, people who, even if it is that whip, because here we are talking of lives, we are losing lives. So what is better? Is it when they are, today, I will tell you, what does the Ministry of Transport do? We even people don't know who is the minister on that area. Because
really?
Seriously,
you do not know who is
who will know what do we see them doing? Nothing. We could see what Kagwe did. Kagwe enforced, and things were followed. Now, from the Ministry of Transport, when things went very bad, that is when, again, because of enforcement, our president shifted that again to the Ministry of Interior. And we could see a lot of changes, and many things changed, and we started reducing the number. But in between, I don't know what happened.
All right. We'll just continue, picking up on this argument on whether it is the rules vis-a-vis something else, like behavior change or awareness that ought to work in, just bringing back sanity on our roads. But it's a conversation that we are having this morning, talking about road safety, and we invite your feedback. So do you have any question, any concern? Are you a road user right now? Are you on the roads? Is there anything that you're witnessing that you ought to bring to light? We welcome your views right here on NewsCheck at KBC Channel 1 is where you can communicate with us at Safin_Acheng and Safin Acheng on Facebook. I'm having a sit down in studio with David Njoroge, the chairman of the Road Safety Network Association. So, Mr. Njoroge, you were talking about, you have a strong feeling that if we have the right person to enforce the laws that are currently in place, then we can actually go a long way in bringing back sanity on our roads.
I tell you.
But before you react on that, allow me also bring to your attention something that has worked in other sectors, in other areas where we've had such issues. Like when we talk about the issue of alcoholism, teenage pregnancies, talking about eradicating backward cultures like FGM. People who have, had a voice on such issues have said what has worked is going back to the community level and investing in behavior change, investing on awareness campaigns, and helping that person to take individual responsibility of their own safety and their own interest. That is what has worked. Don't you think that is probably a direction that we can take also to bring back sanity on our roads?
It is a very good direction. But who will do that? That is the question I asked you. It is the leadership.
Stakeholders like yourself.
Stakeholders, but we need the real help from the government. Because now, even if today we are trying to write letters to the ministry, doing everything, this time we are saying the head of state now must intervene. We are losing a big number of people. Now, it is now him to intervene, because I'm 100% sure if he intervenes in this, the way he did with COVID, I'm telling you this thing will be a thing of the past. And we are going to save a number. Today, if we say we want to do whatever you are saying about civic education, we go there down. That is the work of the government. That is exactly what we want the government to do. We want people trained. Before those days, these things were done in school. Even it was in our curriculum, whereby you were taught how to close the road. This is called a car. The speed is like this. You must turn right, left. We have this zebra crossing. This is the meaning. This is what you should do when you reach on a zebra crossing. Don't close the road where there is no zebra crossing, and make sure you first turn left, turn right, turn like that, and then you go through. This is now not there. So with civic education, that we've been pushing that to go to the level of education, so that people are trained before they leave the school. They will know. We were taught about the bicycle, we were taught about the mkokoteni, anything which is used on the road. Today, that curriculum is not there. And that is why you see all this mess. And we can, it's very simple. I'm telling you, if today our president says the way he used to say about COVID, we see him talking, or any minister, that now from now, this is exactly what we want. This is the way forward. People will follow that. Because one thing I'm surprised with Kenyans, not unless they are told. Not unless they are told. The others even know, but they do it just because today, who doesn't know that you are not supposed to drink and drive? But you still find people drinking and driving. knowing very well that you can even kill another person who is innocent. Because by the time you drink and drive, you cannot control that vehicle. This is not about Kenya. That is everywhere, all over the world. You cannot see somebody drinking and driving. But what about our country? This now has been culture, is our culture, that wherever you put Sharia, people want to break the law. We have to know that this is about our lives. And this is why I'm saying it is all of us, our responsibility.
I'm curious to also find out what you have done as the Road Safety Network Association in the specifics in terms of enhancing road safety in our country. What is it that you feel can be acknowledged for having done in terms of bringing back sanity on our roads?
First of all, Road Safety Association has done a lot of things. In fact, for NTSA to be formed, we were the people who were pushing for it, because we could see the police, there was reluctant, and we thought, we went to Nigeria, there was such a body, so we were the people who were pushing for that. It was there. It did not work. It is not NTSA which did not work. No, it is the people who are employed there who did not do the right job. Because if they and what I'm telling you, we have enough. We don't want any other law in this country about road safety. We have enough. All what we want is proper implementation of those laws. Because, for instance, and I keep on repeating this because I want to give examples of this, the time we were told to wear masks, if that law was not forced, I'm telling you, nobody would have wear those masks. You remember the time the curfew came, the first time people were beaten in Mombasa, and people realized it's not a joke. The president has given his directives. So all we need is proper directives, because at the end of the day, it is very sad if we will be sitting here every time things happen. And it is possible we can reduce these deaths if everybody there outside want to make sure that you follow the law.
The law.
Yes.
All right. We will be coming back to continue having this conversation in a bit. But right now, I just want us to follow up on something that has been happening at the Law Society of Kenya. The President, Nelson Havi, has been in trouble over a decision that he took to dismiss the CEO. Let's just listen into what is happening currently with regards to this difference of opinion between the Law Society of Kenya President Nelson Havi and the council. All right, we'll be getting back to that in a bit, but right now let's continue having a conversation that we have been having in studio that touches on road safety. This morning, I'm hosting David Njoroge, the chairman of the Road Safety Network Association. And before we went to that particular link, you were talking about how what has worked for COVID-19 can also work when it comes to, road safety. But even as we speak right now, the COVID-19 safety protocols have sort of like what the concern is being raised on how we have let down our guard, and you can see what happened, like what I just said when we were beginning the program. Immediately after some of the restrictive measures were lifted a bit, people just went on a drinking spree and nobody was caring. It was just a mess all over, and we ended up losing about 60 people, and I believe the numbers are still rising by the day. So are we genuine when we say that we can actually follow the rules and the laws that have been put in place? Do you think we are genuine and faithful to that cause?
Yeah, we must be very genuine to that, because why are we saying this thing is rising? It's just because this the president opened just some areas, not everywhere, but just some areas. Bars were opened, everybody went, the people went crazy. Those people who are used to drink and driving, they started the same thing they were doing. But before that, there were those laws which you are not supposed to go and drink. So what I'm saying is this, Kenyans,
do you think, my point then is, do you think the laws, is having laws and forcing Kenyans to follow the law, can be a long-term solution.
Yeah, and they must be forced to follow the law.
For how long?
It's a matter of a very short time, and people understand. And when you start forcing, you are forcing them because there's somewhere there's something where our government did not do. But now, if they can start forcing to make sure that we save these people, and then we go back on the drawing board, we say now we must start this civic education, so that by the time people understand. By the time we are stopping to force them...
Allow me to cut you short on that. Sorry for that. We'll be coming back to pick up from that point. Let's go back to the row at the Law Society of Kenya.
Yes. Well, according to your boss, the president of LSK, he claims that by the judgment issued on the 19th, that you cease being the LSK CBF.
I do not know whether you have seen the communication that was sent to the newsroom and members of public by the Council of the Law Society of Kenya, indicating that I should resume to work immediately. It is by virtue of that resolution, that communication that has been given to me personally, that I am seated here and working.
Was this a procedural flaw? Because there's a section of the council that did a written verdict, and then there are those who gave verbal verdicts. Because that is the basis upon which the president says that he used the written verdicts to actually pass a judgment on you.
What I have is a communication of a resolution of the council, from the council, signed by council members.
And that is what you're sticking on?
Yes.
All right, that is Mercy Wambua, the Chief Executive Officer of the Council at the LSK. And of course, what she's talking about is just giving an update on the row that is currently being witnessed at the Law Society of Kenya. President of the Law Society of Kenya, Nelson Harvey, actually went ahead to make a decision to oust Mercy Wambua from office on the 15th of September for what he termed as gross misconduct and incompetence. It's a decision that was disputed by the council, and actually we saw 9 members out of the 13 council members voted against that decision by Nelson Harvey. So it's a story that continues to take different shapes as the days go by. We'll be giving you updates as we continue to follow keenly on what is happening. We have our reporter Yusuf Farah currently following up on this particular wrangle, so keep it KBC Channel 1 for the latest developments. Now in studio, let's continue talking about road safety. And I welcome your views on social media to ask any question, raise any concern that you have at KBC Channel 1 and at Safin_Aching. And talking about that, Mr. Njoroge, there's a question about somebody wants you to address the security of bikers and those who ride motorbikes. Just talk about what has been done to also ensure their security.
Let me say that it was an issue, and I remember even our CS Matiang'i, when he was very serious, he even appointed a committee to come up with proper structure of how the rules to be followed. And down, I don't know what exactly happened, because things are not going well today. It's risky. Riding on those Bodaboda, as we you can see now, like now every hospital has set aside a ward for only Bodaboda victims, which is worrying,
usually crowded.
Very, very worrying. And if you go there, that place is crowded. If you go to the only hospital we have for the spinal, the only one we have, it's crowded. And I don't know. There's a problem. And this is why I'm saying it is a problem which needs to be properly addressed from the from the leadership, so that we can see the changes which can be made on our roads. Because seriously, it is a serious issue. Every day we are losing more than 6 Bodaboda riders. And we normally talk about the people we lose, but we never discuss about the people who are injured, seriously injured, that they will never walk again, they will remain maimed for life. We don't discuss about the figures. So the figures, we have a very big number, and that is where we are saying we need this thing to be properly addressed. The same way I go back to COVID-19, we were told there is a victim, there was this in every county. How many patients we have, how many have died? If this thing can be done, be brought back to safety to the people on our roads, that every Kenyan will understand that roads is not a joke. People are dying, because you'll be told today in Mombasa Road, 6 people died. In Thika Road, this is a number. This is the number of the people who have been taken to hospital. This is the number of the people who have survived. And this is the number of the people who have not been able to survive. So that every Kenyan, seated where you are, the time you are going to you want to go to the road, you want to drive, you want to ride, you know that it is serious. These roads can kill.
So it goes back to information and
awareness. So that people will know, the time I'm driving my vehicle, I know this road, 2 people died yesterday, so I must be very careful, because the same thing can happen to me. So that awareness is what we are lacking. We need that awareness, so that our people know exactly what. Like today, let me tell you, it's a serious issue. To tell you, we have about 1 million Bodabodas there out, and 80% of them, even they don't have a license. They don't have the license.
80% of the 1 million
of that 1 million, they don't have licenses. This is something which was discussed by the group, the Matiang'i group, and it was dropped to the county level to make sure that every county make sure that they have the number of the Bodabodas they have, and they make sure that these young business men are properly trained, and they are taught about the road, and they are taught about even the manners, how to. Today, we just walk there, you'll see them riding without even a helmet. And the meaning of the helmet is very important, because immediately you have an accident, the most very vulnerable place is the head. So if you are hit on your head, chances of surviving are very few. Because if you break all the other part of your body, it can heal. But when you have an injury in your head, that is something else. Right. But still, just go there out. You will see people riding these motorbikes without those helmets. You will find a Bodaboda carrying 5, 6 people. It's dangerous.
Yeah, true. Yeah. 80% of the 1 million Bodaboda riders do not have a license. That's something that is serious, and we cannot continue the way we have been doing in this particular country. It's a serious conversation that we are having in studio. We continue to invite your views. When we come back, because we are going on a very short break, we will be talking about why the Bodaboda sector is so porous. Why is it so easy to get into this particular sector and just have your way without following the rules? And what needs to be done? Who should do what, so that we have some sort of control and sanity in this particular sector. So stay with us. We are taking a very short break. We will be right back. Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. In case you're just joining us, this is NewsCheck, a program that seeks to inform you on the latest happenings in the country, and of course have studio conversations on some of these issues just to give them more depth and have questions answered that may have been raised. Now, today we are talking about road safety, and we still call on you to share with us your thoughts and your views on social media at KBC Channel 1 and at Safin_Acheng. But right now, we want to take you to Mombasa County to follow up on the latest developments in the region. We have our very own Kiarie this morning following up on the ongoing process of schools reopening. Examinations are coming up, and she's going to be giving us details on how that is taking shape. Kiarie, if you can hear me, a very good morning. Kindly tell us what is happening in Mombasa County this morning. All right, I understand we're having a bit of trouble connecting to Kiarie, but we'll be going back to Mombasa County shortly to talk about the status of issues, especially on the education sector in the coastal region this morning. But we come back to studio now and talk about road safety. And we were just having a conversation about how bad the situation is on our roads, and with a special focus on the Bodaboda Menace. One of the issues that came forth is something that is not new to you and I. If you go to any hospital right now, and you'll find out that there is a ward that has been dedicated to those who are victims of Bodaboda related accidents. And what is unique about that particular ward is the population of patients who come there to seek treatment. And this paints a bigger picture on how bad the situation is on our roads when it comes to this means of transport. And that is the conversation that we are having with Mr. Njoroge this morning. And Mr. Njoroge, I just wanted to find out from you what you think makes the Bodaboda sector so porous that anybody can have their way anyhow and do what they want any minute. That today I can buy a motorcycle and tomorrow I'm on business, I'm on the roads and I'm carrying people. What is it that makes it so easy to get away with trouble in this sector?
Let me say, as I had said from the word go, the structure of the way it is being structured, the way today you want to be a rider. What are you supposed to do so that you become a rider? This is, for instance, today if you just buy a motorbike, and where are the schools to train about motorbike? We don't have these schools, and whatever happens, you are just taken on a playing ground. When you are able to go round twice, then you are good to go. So when such things happen, this person does not know even to give way. He does not know anything to do with the laws of the road traffic rules. They don't know anything. This is why you'll see when you're driving a motorbike, you'll just come on the left side and go. So if you make a mistake and turn your vehicle, that person is dead. So what we are saying is this: already we know the mess is there, and we are losing a number of people. We must take proper measures now to make sure that we save those who are alive, because this thing will continue, and we will continue discussing about this issue. And as we speak, people continue dying. So this is now the responsibility of our government, because in the Constitution, it is very clear. They are supposed to protect you and your property. All right. Yeah.
Mr. Njoroge, we're coming back to continue having this conversation. Right now, we get back to Kiarie for the latest development in Mombasa County.
Good morning, Safina Acheng. We're coming to you live from the Star of the Sea Primary School, where the assessment of grade 4 and class 8 pupils has commenced this morning. What we understand is the exercise will take a maximum of 3 days. This exercise is expected to find gaps, of course, in learners, to see if where exactly they are after the 7 months closure of the school due to the ongoing pandemic. So For today, what I understand is they are starting with the English paper, and this is grade 4 right behind me. If my cameraman can just show you, they're starting with the reading, and then they'll go to the written English exams, after which they will continue with composition. So this is grade 4 and class 8 pupils. That is their timetable for today's, and this assessment will take a maximum of 3 days before it is concluded. What we understand is COVID-19 protocols are being observed here according to the regulations put in place by the Ministry of Health. You have to sanitize before, because they're sharing one piece of paper. They have to sanitize, and they have to make sure that they are observing the 1 meter rule distance between them and the teachers, so that they can be able to stay safe whilst the examination is continuing. So we know that this assessment has begun not here only at the Star of the Sea Primary School, but across other schools here in Mombasa County and also countrywide. What we understand is just adjacent to this particular building, of course, is the Star of the Sea High School that was closed down on Monday temporarily due to ongoing fumigation exercise. What we understand is unconfirmed reports, of course, that says that some of the pupils and teachers might have tested positive for the COVID-19 virus. This is unconfirmed reports. Efforts, of course, to get the relevant authority to comment on this matter. Of course, they have told us they will get back on us, but we have not yet received any official communication. So what we have is information from our reliable sources who are telling us that indeed the principal was not had already fallen ill before the schools reopened. So the school was being run by the deputy principal, of course, and so we understand that some tests were taken for the teachers and, of course, the deputy principal. But according to sources from the health, from the public health here in Mombasa County, those tests are yet to come back. So right now they cannot, we cannot ascertain for sure if at all they are isolating or quarantining. But what we understand is the school has been closed down for 2 weeks to pave way for that exercise to continue. So as they await the results, of course, for the teachers and as well as the students, because we understand that even yesterday some students were recalled, so the Form 4 students were recalled so that they can undergo the testing, the mandatory testing, and of course it's not only the students, we understand also the officials and the workers at the particular place. We visited the school, there is no watchman because all the watchmen, the security people who were on duty during this period, that since the schools were open, all of them had to go through that test and have been told to self-quarantine before the results have come back, so that they can know the status, of course, of the COVID-19 virus, if at all some of them have contracted the virus. So for right now, what we know is just unconfirmed reports that some of them might have contracted the virus, but we cannot ascertain this for sure. We are waiting for an official statement, of course, from the county government and, of course, from the Ministry of Education to tell us how many have been affected and how many will have to stay isolated and how many will have to quarantine after contracting this particular virus. We understand it is not the only school that has been temporarily shut down. We understand Tononoka also might have closed down due to, of course, this particular confirmed cases of the COVID-19 pandemic. So we're waiting for the county commissioner Gilbert Kitio to give us an official statement. He is the chairman of the emergency COVID-19 committee that has been set up here in Mombasa County to ascertain to us what exactly is going on when it comes to school. Are they the only schools that have been affected? How many students have been affected? How many teachers teachers have been affected, and when exactly are they? What measures will they take so that they can continue with the contact tracing, and after which other measures can they deploy across all public primary and secondary schools to ensure that this virus, this ripple effect is not felt in these other institutions. So we are waiting for that confirmation and that statement from the relevant authority. But as for now, we know for sure that the school has closed down due to some positive cases that have been reported. We understand some results are back, some results are not yet back, but of course we will know that as the day develops. But for now, of course, what we understand, we will continue keeping a close eye to ascertain for sure whether or not the school was closed down and how many people were affected in this particular war against the coronavirus. So, of course, this is the development here in Mombasa County. The education sector is being affected, and of course, we are waiting to see what. Of course, they are appealing is the state of panic, not people not to panic and spread false rumors concerning this particular situation to avoid stigmatization of the students as well as the teachers and as well as their families. And so everybody is being urged to remain calm as we wait for the official statements both from the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health. But for now, we continue keeping a close eye, of course, for the assessment that is currently ongoing, not here at the Star of the Sea Primary School alone, but of course other centers here in Mombasa County and of course countrywide. So Safin, I hand it back to you as we continue to monitor this developing story, and of course as we check on other schools to see if the assessment is going on without any hitches. For now, Safin, I hand it back to you.
Thank you so much, Junei Karisa, for that comprehensive update. Coming to us live from the Star of the Sea High School in Mombasa County, a school that is on the spotlight this particular morning after unconfirmed reports are that some teachers and students may have contracted COVID-19. Junei is informing us this morning that some of the teachers and students had undergone the COVID-19 test, and some results are out, others are yet to be received, but they are waiting to get clear information from the authorities with regards to these reports that we have received. But what we know as we speak this morning is that the school has been temporarily closed. It was closed on the Monday 19th, 2020 for what the school administration terms as a fumigation exercise. The school is yet supposed to be opened on the 2nd of November 2020. So it's an exercise that is going to take between 19th to the 2nd. That's about 2 weeks. So the information that we have, which remains unconfirmed, is that there could be some positive cases of COVID-19 reported from that school. We will be staying closer to the coastal region just to find out more about this particular information as soon as Junei speaks to the relevant authorities to confirm this for us. Now, coming to studio, and before we continue, Mr. Njoroge, just a quick one on the information we are just receiving from the coastal region. This is really unfortunate and some scary news receiving right now when schools just reopened the other day. Yeah. What's your take on the move to partially, a phased reopening of learning institutions, slowly crawling back to normal and allowing us move on with life? Was it a step in the right direction to allow learners go back to school?
I think my take is that we rushed. We should not have tested with our kids. Mm-hmm. Kids should have remained at home, and we open all the other places. Why in a hurry? Because this is a second wave which is coming of this COVID-19, and it will be a very serious issue if kids are contracted, because you see the way kids play. It will be a very serious thing in this country. So I think the best thing is we should not open schools. Yeah.
All right.
We should wait.
All right.
Yeah.
The good thing is that the Ministry of Health says it was not cast on stone, so we're still observing the trends, and as the days go by, probably we may see something different, but that's a matter of wait and see. But moving on with the conversation we were having about road safety, and we just want to understand some of the issues that are ailing this sector, the Bodaboda sector. I want us to talk about the beast, the elephant in the room. This is the corruption menace.
Yes.
You were very passionate earlier talking about the need for us to have laws, and not just laws, but a proper mechanism and the right people to ensure that these laws are enforced. But when we have corruption on this other side, and then we have the laws on this other side, how do we balance that equation?
Let me say that equation can never be balanced. And for sure, corruption is in every sector. Corruption is in every sector. And corruption has contributed much on the deaths we see on our roads. Because even this area, we talk of the Bodaboda, we talk of this, we know how police are cashing in. It has become, road laws became cash cow for people to mint money. And the day we will agree as Kenyans that we must stop this corruption, because you remember Michuki Day, that time when Michuki was there, we could see people arresting police, taking them to the police station because of collecting the bribes. That is a nation we need, so that we save these people who are dying. But if this corruption continues, even if you put those laws there and we have enough, they will never work. Because if you go with your money and then you go through, the same happening in these driving schools, whereby money is spent and somebody gets a license. It's there. It's everybody knows that corruption is rampant on our roads, and this is one area. The time it will be properly addressed, you will see even our numbers decreasing. Yeah.
This is something that people see, and I'm sure in one or two occasions somebody has witnessed actually the corruption taking place on the roads.
Yes.
What has been done to empower the public to speak out when they see such? Because you're saying the only way we can fight it, the only way we can eradicate it is to stand firm and to call out all those who are engaging in corruption. But what has been done to empower them to feel like it's actually in their place to take that responsibility, those who use the roads?
It goes back to the civic education. It goes back there, that we need people to be properly educated, to know their rights. Because today you can have a very good police officer on the road who will not collect any bribe, but take that person to court. They bribe even in our courts. And this is something which is there, that corruption has eaten this society, from that road even to the courtroom. So if the police does not pick that money there, the money will be picked on the other side. So the time, and that is what I'm saying, people should be properly educated about the traffic rules, about what you're supposed to do. Because if you see somebody bribing, automatically he knows it's not doing the right job. If your vehicle is not in proper condition, that is the time you will bribe. If your tire is worn out, that is the time you will bribe. There is no way you will bribe when you're doing the right thing. So, and that wrong thing you're doing, and I give you an example. We lost 7 people from Murang'a. That vehicle left Murang'a, went to Makueni. A vehicle which is supposed to carry 7 people was carrying 14 people. It left all the way, it went to Makueni, left Makueni, and the accident happened when they were going back home. 7 people died. Ask yourself, all the way, how many roadblocks are there? What happened? That is the question. How can a vehicle which is supposed to carry only 7 people carry 14? And it is on our roads.
And it goes scot-free.
It goes scot-free.
Going and coming.
We started the discussion with the 7 people died. That is the time you are saying, this vehicle should not have carried 14 people. So this is a discussion, and it's not a joke. We are losing people on our roads. And this is why I am even trying to appeal to our political leaders, religious leaders, to come in This is not something, because we've been discussing this thing, but we have not seen these people coming in. And we are losing a big number of people. We need the political leaders now to discuss about this. We need the religious leaders to be in this, because they are losing their people. So what I'm trying to say is that corruption is in every sector. Go to any sector, you'll find that corruption. Just the other day, we visited some inspection centers whereby you see a vehicle has been passed and it is not even worthy to be on the road. But because money is used, that vehicle is on the road. It's on our roads. That vehicle will kill. We'll discuss about it when it has already killed. So that's why I'm saying now we must take another direction. Because we've been discussing about this, we've been discussing about corruption, and our people are still dying. And this time I'm trying to appeal to our political leaders. I'm trying to appeal to the religious leaders. This is something which should even be taught, even in the church, that you should not bribe a police officer. What are the leaders, the church leaders, doing about this? What are they doing? They are doing nothing. They have just kept quiet. They discussed when we lost only three priests in Kiarie Road. That is the time we could even see NTSA scrapped because those priests died. From there, everything stopped. So we need everybody to participate in this so that we can see the way forward, how we can save our people. We cannot be discussing every year that we are losing 3,000 every year. In fact, this year...
Even one life is too much.
It's too much.
One life is
too much. This year, we might even surpass that number. Because we are talking of 3,000 and we have not reached the month of December where we normally lose over 600 that month. So if something is not done now, seriously, things are not that good. Yes.
They've always argued that in our country we tend to be more reactive as opposed to being proactive when it comes to addressing such issues.
Yes.
Right now we are having a conversation about road safety, something that many would feel is usually very common around the festive season, around the time when we're experiencing a lot of accidents. What do you think can be done differently so that we are proactive in addressing this issue?
That is why I told you this thing now needs to be addressed further, not the way we have been addressing it. And this is why I'm trying to call the political leaders. I want to call our leaders on this now so that we can see the way forward. Because we don't have accidents in this country. There are crashes. There are accidents which could have been stopped before they happened. But we discuss about this when already we have lost our people. So this is why I'm trying to urge every Kenyan, everybody, to participate in this and to make sure, because all what we need, there's nothing which is needed, is just to follow the traffic rules the right way and nothing else. Because accident happens in seconds. You will do a very silly mistake and there it is. 10 people are dead. So let's sit, because now we must have a sitting. The same way there was a proper sitting, even at the State House, because of COVID. The experts were called. We need our president to call the experts, call the religious leaders, call all these people. What are we supposed to do?
On our roads.
On our roads. And I'm telling you, whatever will come out from there, we will see changes outside here. And we will save a big number of our people.
How do we deal then with the issue? Because I feel like we always relax after some time. What do we need to do so that we don't, relax and go back to?
I give you an example.
To the drawing board.
I give you an example that when these numbers came, the two weeks ago,
because even when COVID came, everyone was scared. But then, as the days went by, we were
everybody now relaxes.
Yeah.
The same way you saw when the numbers came, when NTSA announced the number, when it gave a figure of 2,680 something people have died on our roads. Every low road, there was a roadblock for 2 days only. From there, all the roadblocks are removed.
So is it just for show?
Again, we wait for the numbers to raise. Again, they go back to the road.
Is it just
for 1 week?
Show, then?
So it is just to show that there's something they're doing. But now we need to discuss this issue on a very serious issue, whereby it is not a must. You go and fix roadblocks. You would go start crackdowns. No, we need to know where have we gone wrong. so that we correct. Because if we keep quiet, as we are keeping quiet, next come December, we will talk about 4,000 people have died. And let me tell you, you don't know who is this person who will be counted in that 4,000. It might be you.
Yeah, true.
That is what is there.
Could be anyone,
it is not a must.
We use the roads daily.
Yeah, it's not a must. We'll be discussing about 3,000 people have died. Next time it will be you who will be counted there. So something must be done drastically, without jokes, and make sure that we follow the rules. Because we don't need any. We don't need our parliament to go. They have done their work. They have come up with proper laws which are there.
Right.
But the implementation.
All right. We are coming back to continue this conversation, but something that has been developing in our country as well is the ongoing push for the changes in the constitution. The BBI initiative yesterday, President Uhuru Kenyatta, opposition leader Raila Odinga, and the Deputy President William Ruto made this part of their remarks as they were marking the Mashujaa Day celebrations. There has been talks that the task force has already handed over the report to President Uhuru Kenyatta. So today happening is the unveiling of the BBI report that was handed to President Uhuru Kenyatta. Let's just follow up on some of the proceedings that are happening. This is coming to us courtesy of NTV.
The President will be required under this proposal annually while giving the State of the Nation address to state in detail what his government has done to implement Article 43. The County Road Development Fund I also talked about here will also be required to be implemented so that it addresses Article 43 rights. All government departments under this proposal will be required under Article 220 of the Constitution to demonstrate before their budget is approved what steps they took in the past year to implement Article 43 rights, what they will take, what steps they will do under that budget, and what steps they will do in the future to ensure Article 43 rights are implemented at the bottom. There are recommendations around inclusivity in the executive. There are recommendations about inclusivity and about dealing and doing away with divisive elections in the national, in Parliament. And you will be able to read those once we are done here. The recommendations around corruption. One of the recommendations is to give some constitutional underpinning for court cases involving corruption to be resolved, started and resolved within a period of 1 year or 2 years. So expedited hearing and conclusion of corruption cases. We have recommendations around the question of how Parliament will process its statutes a lot faster, and how the two houses, the Senate and the National Assembly, will work between themselves. On the judiciary, there is a re-emphasis on strengthening the independence of the judiciary, but also looking at the accountability of the judiciary to the people of Kenya. And there's a proposal to include the Office of the Independent Judiciary Ombudsman to handle and process complaints from the public regarding aspects of the judiciary. There are recommendations for gender parity in the seat of county governor and deputy county governor, again for women. There are recommendations about the quick processing or the accountability of government accounting officers. And there is a recommendation for a checklist to be provided for them so that funds are used only for the purposes they are meant. And one of those is that the controller of budget must, as part of the job, audit the effectiveness of the implementation of projects being undertaken. On the question of security, there is a harmonization of the roles of the police, and there is also an elevation of the Independent Police Oversight Authority into a constitutional commission where Kenyans can go and respond and complain about things that they're unhappy about with that. Aside from that, there is a recommendation for the implementation of the Mental Health Task Force report, which was one of the recommendations of the BBI task force. There is a recommendation for the setting up of a Terror Victims Protection Trust Fund. There's a recommendation to that effect. There is a recommendation for the enhanced protection of women during electoral periods to aid the election and to aid their participation in electoral processes. There is a strengthening of the office of the DPP. The DPP now becomes, under this proposal, an independent office under the Constitution. There is a strengthening of the Director of the Criminal Investigation, and there is a recommendation around the strengthening of the Office of the Auditor General to be able to hire officers from all over the country. Those are but a few. It is recommended to you as Kenyans, please engage with the documents in full, beginning with policy, coming to the Constitution, legislative, and administrative policies. None is to be read in isolation. All are to be read together. Secondly, it is not a destination. It is something we have to continue engaging with as Kenyans. Thank you very much.
Asante sana mwenyekiti na vile vile wakili. Mheshimiwa Rais, nitaomba sasa tuingie katika awamu ya kupokea ripoti na nitamwalika mwenyekiti Profesa, kisha nimuombe Mheshimiwa Rais kujongea mbele tu mahala ambapo ameketi ili aweze kupokea ripoti hii. Professor, kindly proceed to the President. Professor, move on kindly. Ripoti ndio hiyo, anaikabidhiwa Mheshimiwa Rais. Tumpongeze anapoipokea. Asante. Asante. Nitaomba vile vile Mheshimiwa aliyekuwa Waziri Mkuu Raila Odinga apokee hiyo ripoti. Makofi. Asante. Asante. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hiyo ndio ripoti ambayo itatupa mwongozo na mwelekeo kama taifa. Asante sana. Nitaomba nafasi hii kumwalika aliyekuwa Waziri Mkuu Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga kufanya his brief remarks. Welcome, sir.
Your Excellency, members of the task force led here by Professor Adam Solo, all the other distinguished guests here, ladies and gentlemen, hamjambo. Hamjambo tena. Leo ni leo. This is the day that many people have been waiting for. And yesterday, you remember, Your Excellency, I hesitated from saying that we are going to receive the report today. But today, finally, nyoka imetoka. We now have a report, and people can now talk about a report. There have been people who have been speculating about a report without reading it. Some even have expressed opposition to it before they've seen it. But finally it is here. We said that after long deliberation between us, the two of us, which took hours, we identified what we saw as the problems which are actually ailing our country. And we decided that we should take steps to resolve these problems, not just for ourselves, but in the interest of this generation and the future generations of our country. Because just ourselves, we have a new constitution. At that time, it was 8 years. And we said, but still there are problems. So there must be other issues which are making us not enjoy what the founding fathers of our nation wanted. A country where justice are shield and defender, and we dwell in unity, peace and liberty. And finally, plenty is found within our borders. So far, we don't have the plenty. 56 years since we got independence. And that's why Kenyans are angry, because they are hungry An angry person is a hungry person is an angry person. And we identified the issues and we put them in the memorandum of understanding. There were 9 points, which we charged these eminent Kenyans the responsibility of trying to find solutions. So after moving around and talking to Kenyans, they came up with a report. And then thereafter we decided to reappoint them rather than bringing a new team, new faces, to validate this report among the people of Kenya. They has already, Tom has explained, held town hall meetings. But we decided ourselves that we will go around and talk to Kenyans generally. And we came up with the concept of regional consultations. And the first regional consultation took place here in Kisii. In fact, just across the wall, down there is where it was. That's why we had the lengthy deliberations. We had the experts explaining, and here in Kisii, we brought in people from all the 6 counties of former Nyanza province. So here you had the Luos, the Kisiis, and the Kurias came here, their representatives. Kisii County had, I think, 500 delegates. The rest had 300 mixed. Some were elders, some were women, some were youth, some were politicians, religious leaders, businessmen, all assembled here. And after lengthy deliberation, after the report was presented by the experts and people deliberated, we then retreated to the stadium where we were yesterday to launch the BBI. And that's where the reggae started. And that's why yesterday I said we decided to come here yesterday. And I said today we decided deliberately with the president to come and receive the report here in Kisii. Because this is where it started. And reggae ilipotoka hapa kanguruma huko magharibi. As he said here, the Kisii spoke a lot about issues affecting the Kisii region, issues which are specific to this region. Like you've seen the soapstone products outside there. He talked about them. He talked about minerals generally in this area. They talked about agriculture. They talked about industries in this region. Down around the lake there, they talked about fishing industry. They talked about sugar industry, that area. They talked about groundnuts growing, about cotton and industrialization generally in that area, and also issues of infrastructure. The Kurias came with the issues because Kurias are in Migori County, and they are saying that they don't think they're getting their fair share. Some people are making noise. I said, no, that's why we're doing these consultations. Let everybody speak. So then we can be able to find a solution. As we moved on, it turned out it was not just only Koreans having this problem. If you went to Western, the Sabaots of Mount Kenya were talking about how they're also not being fairly treated there. They're not getting their rights. The Tesos in Busia had similar issues. So we then say that we must find a way in this new constitution in which we find a way of how we can isolate problems affecting minorities and finding how to address them. Tulipotoka Ingo tumekaenda huko Mombasa, kule watu wa pwani wakafoka wakakohoa. Mambo ya madini, they talked about. They talked about the blue economy in the coast. They talked about historical land marginalization, including Mazrui land rights and all those sort of things. So very serious issues were raised. Then from there to kind of Kambani. The campus also talked about issues of drought, issues of famine, issues of national calamities, and also infrastructure. Tukaenda huko Narok. Narok pale Wamasai waliongea. They talked about issues of land there, how the land had been invaded. There's certain specific land that they talked about, and they wanted a solution to the issue of land. They talked about pastoralism as a way of life, and how you can do value addition, things like putting up a meat processing plant in Narok. Then they talked about the game park, which you have Masai Mara, and then you have also Amboseli, and that they wanted these to be under the counties. We then went to Garissa, and in Garissa, Wariahi, walikohoa, from Mandera, Wajir, all the way up to Garissa, but even to the people from Marsabit joined at Isiolo. And there they talked about issues of pastoralism, there, issues of infrastructure, issues of education, issues of security generally, the threat to Al-Shabaab and so on. And all this, we agreed, could need to be addressed. From there tukaenda huko mlimani, Mount Kenya, kule Meru. Watu wa milima kutoka huko Nakuru mpaka Tharaka Nithi waliongea shida zao, the issues of land, issues of industrialization, issues of infrastructure, and issues of equity. The issue of 1 man, 1 shilling was very loud there. That is so that each and every Kenyan gets their rights here. So through this process, we managed to really get what is ailing Kenya, what are the problems. So it was not a useless exercise. Some people can stand and say, oh, waste of time. We need to address the issues of poverty, watu wa chini, watu wadogo. And so what? How do you address them if you don't know them? So he said, if you want the Kenyan to speak, and the Kenyan spoke. Somebody will come and say, today is when you have now discovered that kuna watu wadogo. We want to have a conversation about the people, the poor man, the common man, the mkokoteni, the driver, mtu wa wheelbarrow, and so on. But you have been there all this time. You do come from heaven. You didn't drop from heaven like an angel. You've been around. Is it the first time you've now discovered that there are watu wa mkokoteni? And the issue of haves and have-nots. If you're really concerned, why do you give them wheelbarrows? Why don't you give them your helicopter? We are going to talk to the people of Kenya. The Kenyans must know the truth. That this, sisi si watu wazimu. Mimi na ndugu yangu tuliamua tutaenda njia hii kwa sababu tunajua hii ndio njia ya kukomboa Kenya. There's no other way. This is how you're going to do it. And as Thomas said, the conversation is now beginning. And I'm sure shortly you're going to be able to get a consensus. The issue of gender inclusivity, for example, in Parliament. And we say that we take Parliament as an institution, National Assembly and the Senate. And then once we put that together, then we deal with the issue of gender parity there. And we are determined to achieve that now, before the next elections. So we are open to everything else. So Kenya, the new Kenya need to be born. And this is what we want. We said we want to bequeath a better society to the future generation. It is not about making Raila Odinga president or making Uhuru Kenyatta a prime minister. That is so far from it. That is propaganda. The facts are those that we have said. So we want to thank these eminent Kenyans for agreeing and taking up the challenge and burning the midnight oil to come up with this document. I want it to be understood that these are recommendations which they've come with as an after engagement with the people of Kenya. They are not cast in stone. They've given it to us. We will look at them, and we'll also give it to our people to look at. And then hereafter, we will come up now with the final document, which we are going to take. The roadmap is we are going to collect signatures. We want signatures to be collected. And then we will take it to the Electoral Commission. And from there, it will go to the county assemblies. And we hope that we can get 24 county assemblies to approve within 1 week. And thereafter we go to Bunge. From there tunaenda kwa wananchi wa Kenya. Sasa wewe sema yako, sisi tutasema yetu. Wakenya wataamua. Na wakiamua wewe sisi tutakubali matokeo ya Wakenya. Bila Wakenya watakuwa wataamua. Hiyo ndio demokrasia vile inafanya kazi. Asanteni sana. My brother, Your Excellency, karibu.
Asanteni sana. Nashukuru na asante. Asante. Wakenya wenzangu, hamjambo. Hamjambo tena. Asante sana. Nataka asubuhi ya leo niwakaribishe kirasmi kama wageni wangu wa kwanza katika ikulu ndogo ya Kisii. Nyinyi ndio wageni wetu wa kwanza. Karibuni sana. Ya pili, kupitia makamu mwenyekiti wa kamati ya wazee ndugu Olo, kupitisha shukrani zetu za dhati kwako wewe na kupitia kwako kwa wazee wenzako ambao wamefanya kazi kutoka wakati tuliwapatia mwaka uliopita mpaka sasa na kuweka imani yetu na ya wananchi wa Kenya. Asanteni sana. Tunashukuru sana. Ya pili, tena kupitia kwako naibu wa mwenyekiti, mpeleke pole zetu kwa mwenyekiti wenu mzee wetu Haji, na muambie tunamuombea apone haraka na ndio tuweze kuendelea na kazi yetu. Ya pili ni kushukuru technical team ambayo imefanya kazi na hawa wazee. Kusema again, thank you for your patriotism, for your dedication, and for your love of country. Asanteni sana. Thank you. And also for being faithful to the cause. Siku ya leo tukiwa hapa, tuko hapa kupokea kirasmi report ya hawa wazee, na ni vizuri kwa sababu saa ingine sisi wa Kenya twasahau haraka, kwa sababu sio muda mrefu sana mwaka uliopita ambapo wazee walituletea ile preliminary report yao ya mambo yale ambaye wakati walizunguka taifa letu la Kenya waliona ikiwa shida ambayo inakumba wananchi wetu kutoka kila kona ya Kenya. Na wakati walituletea hiyo report, tukaipokea na tukakuja pale Bomas of Kenya, si ni kweli? Na tukaita wananchi kutoka kila kona ya Kenya na tukawapatia nafasi. Wakati hiyo tukaitoa kirasmi na tukasema hii ndio report tumeletewa na wazee, na tukaelezwa kidogo yale ambayo yalikuweko, na tukasema Wakenya waisome. Na baada ya muda mchache tukasema sasa hii report ya kwanza tunataka iwe consolidated into a document that has a legal basis. Na tukasema badala ya kwenda kutafuta wataalamu wengine, wazee wengine, wale ambao walifanya ile kazi ya mwanzo, wacha waendelee na kazi, kwa sababu wanajua mwanzo na pahali wamefika, na ndio watakuwa wakijua njia ya kuendelea, in order to give us an instrument that can be turned into questions that Kenyans can answer ultimately at a referendum. Hiyo report sasa ndio tumeipokea, na tukawaambia they should not constrain themselves only to constitutional issues. They should also look at legislative issues. They should also look at policy issues. They should also look at administrative issues. And I want to thank you, because I think you have done it in that holistic manner. Ile imebaki sasa ni Wakenya tuisome. Na tuisome sio tukiwa tumeweka kofia ya kisiasa. Tuisome kama wananchi wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Let us read it as individual citizens, because it is about your life. It is about the life of your children. It is about the life of even your children's children. Let us not politicize life, because as I said yesterday, politics will come and go. But this life that we live and this society that we call Kenya is here to stay. And we have a particular moment in history where we can come together and look at those things that prevent us from going forward and rectify them together. This is one such moment in history. Let us not lose this opportunity. As I said some time ago, this is not a document against any individual, against any community. This is a document that is for 50 million Kenyans. This is a document where I am encouraging each one of us to read and make your contribution with a view, not about creating contestation, but with a view of making it even better. All right? That is what we are looking for. We're not looking for the things that we disagree about. We're saying these ones that we are in agreement with. Let us bring that consensus and move forward. And I want to plead, especially with my political colleagues, this is not the time to create division. This is the time for each and every one of us to show leadership. This is the time to bring our country together. My friends, I myself and my brother here are receiving the report for the first time. And that is why some of us have decided to keep quiet about it. Because together with you, we entrusted these people to do the work. Right? Now they have done their part. Today, we receive that report, but we will get a chance on Monday at the Bomas of Kenya to be taken through line by line by these good gentlemen together with their technicians so that we can absorb it. And in the interim, I am requesting them to see that between now and next Monday, how they can circulate this document to as many people as possible. And even, I don't know whether you have an abridged version, but if you have an abridged version, make sure you put it in all our dailies so that Mwananchi, even by the time you are able to get them with a full copy, they can see the abridged version in their dailies. Yeah? Mtu akinunua gazeti kwa insert hapo or something, just make sure you get it to as many people as possible. As many people as possible. Because we want this to be a national dialogue. And a national dialogue requires respect for each other and for each other's views. And a national dialogue is not conducted through insults. It's not conducted through incitement. It's conducted through reading, learning, understanding, and as the law said wonderfully, not talking at each other, but talking with each other. With a view that I may have an opinion I want to give, you may have an opinion, let us talk with each other, and by so doing we will find a way forward. I want to repeat again, and I said it yesterday. This document does not belong, first and foremost, to me and Raila. It doesn't. It belongs to you. It belongs to you. This document is not about this individual's presidency and that individual's prime ministership, that individual's this. No. This is about all of us. What we are looking for is a document for posterity. And like I told you yesterday, friends, I may be the fourth, but I'm not the last. There will be a fifth president, there will be a sixth president, there will be a seventh president, there will be 100th president. So, I'm not tabu, but there will always only be one Kenya. And that Kenya belongs to all of us, and we have a common responsibility to protect that Kenya. Yeah? A common responsibility. And what this document seeks to do is to bring us together and find out how we can protect that common territory called Kenya. Not for an individual, not for a community, not for the rich against the poor or the poor against the rich, but how can we as a society called Kenya build a society that is inclusive, that is equitable, that creates opportunities for all, that is safe for all and secure, that creates great economic opportunities from the natural resources and from the intelligence and capacity of our youth, and that looks after all interests and ensure that nobody is left behind. Because if we can deal with that problem, we will deal with the problem of political conflict and bloodshed. Yeah? Because every Kenyan will know, when I vote, I don't vote now on the basis of my tribe. I vote on the basis of the ideas and ideals, the principles, the policies, the direction a political party or an individual for that matter wishes to take me. Not because of where he's come from or where he's come from. Ni wakati yangu, ni wakati yake, ni wakati ya yule. No. Wakenya watakuwa na huo uhuru, wakijua ya kwamba hata awe amechaguliwa nani, hakuna mtu ambaye atakuwa na uwezo wa kukunyang'anya haki yako, wa kukunyang'anya pesa yako, wa kukunyang'anya shamba yako, ya kukunyang'anya haki yako ya kupata kazi. Wewe utakuwa umepiga kura tu, mtu yako akishinda, haleluya. Akishindwa unasema basi wacha niendelee miaka 5, mimi na biashara zangu, kazi yangu huko nini, hakuna mtu atatuzuia au kuja kuniharas. Nitagojea miaka ingine 5 nijaribu tena. And that is why we are saying this winner take all mentality, that everything in Kenya is about one seat, and if I don't get it, I will not get my right. No. We want every Kenyan, every single day of the year, every single day, 365 days in a year, you are comfortable and content that you have, through your constitution, a document that protects you and that gives you your fair chance in society. And I believe that is what we are seeking from this PBI. Kwa hivyo, mimi sitaki kusema, hata sitaki kuongea juu ya contents, kwa sababu itasemekana me I'm trying to influence you to do say this or that. Me, I'm not interested. But I do know there are a lot of very good proposals that these good men and women have given us. And I do hope and pray that we shall internalize this and that we shall turn it into an inclusive national dialogue with a view of making this country. I am a believer that this country is good. Yes, we have challenges, but I believe that we have a good and great nation, and we have done a lot of great things. But I also believe and know that we can even be better. And that is what we are seeking from this document. How can we even be better than where we are today? And protect not just ourselves who are alive and walking today, but how will we protect and preserve this country even for future generations? That is the challenge of the moment, and that is the constitutional moment I was talking about yesterday. My brothers and sisters, my fellow countrymen, let us not squander this particular moment over petty political differences. I believe we can rise higher. We can rise higher. We can, as I said before, tame ambition for the greater good, right? We can. As I was telling some people, we have seen countries where people fight for political leadership and all you have at the end of the day is broken economies, broken societies, and people who are living in constant fear. I don't think that's where we want this country to go. If you are seeking a position of leadership, I believe that you would want to seek that position of leadership in an economically strong, in a people-empowered nation, where you have young people with hope to drive your agenda forward, and where every single one of your citizens is living in peace and security, regardless of wherever they are. That is what I would wish that anybody who would want a position of leadership would pray for, right? Here we are with an opportunity to create that. Let us work together. Let us respect one another. Let us share our thoughts in good ways. And I'm certain that the success that we shall have shall not belong to any individual, but shall belong to the glory of God and to his people of Kenya. Kwa hayo machache na mengi, sio siku ya kuongea. Tutaonana kule Bomas. Kwa sasa nitoe nafasi hii tu kushukuru wenzetu wa Kisii kwa kutukaribisha, na tumefurahia ule muda tumekuwa pamoja nanyi. Sasa nataka tuingie hapa town, kwa sababu najua wa Kisii ni watu ambao wanakimbia, wao ni watu ya biashara, so hawalali, pesa inazunguka huko, hawalali wakitafuta, na ndio mmebarikiwa, hakuna pahali ambapo mko kila pahali, uende Amerika, uende UAE, uende Qatar, uende UK, uende Kenya mzima, uende wapi, kwa hivyo hawa wako huko pia, wako na hii maneno, hata akienda Amerika hajasahau, bado anakumbuka nyumbani, anatumia ndugu kitu, anatuma nijengee kanyumba hapo, nilisikia kuna plot inauzwa hapo, nasikia kuna kwa hivyo ile pesa ingianga hapa ni mingi, na ndipo tumeonelea ni vizuri tufanye Central Bank wanataka kufungua hapa cash center, na ndio tuweze kuizi hiyo shida ya watu kuwa wanaenda Kisumu ama Nairobi kutafuta wacha iwe hapa, mtu anatembea anafanya kazi yake, alafu tuende tukasalimie, sitaki kusema hiyo kwa sababu hakuna mkubwa ama mdogo, tuseme tuende tukasalimie ndugu zenu wale wako upande ya Nyamira, si ni namna hiyo? Alafu tuishie baadaye tukikula samaki huko upande ya Kisumu, ndio tujue hiyo. Raila anatuambia walikuwa wanaongea juu ya fishing, najua kama hujaonja huwezi kujua kama ni Mungu awabariki na Mungu awalinde. Asanteni sana.
That is President Uhuru Kenyatta finishing his remarks there on a light note, happening at the Kisii State Lodge, one of the biggest events that are happening just after this State Lodge was put in place, just before the marking of the Mashujaa Day celebrations. He says he was hosting the very first batch of visitors. But the greatest thing about today was the fact that we finally have information that the task force that was put in place to work on the building bridges Bridges Initiative has already submitted its report to President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM party leader Raila Odinga. You saw there earlier as they were receiving this particular report, and they say that the stage is now set. The date is the 26th of this particular month, that is Monday, at the Bomas of Kenya right here in Nairobi, where the members of the public and of course other leaders will have a chance to have a sit down at the Bomas of Kenya, and this report is going to be read in details. But between today and Monday, President Uhuru Kenyatta has urged the team working on this report to ensure that as many Kenyans as possible receive a copy of the Building Bridges Initiative report that is just out, so that they can better understand its content and of course engage in an informed conversation about it going forward. But fundamentally speaking, President Uhuru Kenyatta said that we are in a constitutional moment as a country and is urging us to take advantage of this particular opportunity, putting all political differences aside and urging political leaders not to cause division at this particular time. What he says, to quote his words, is that we need to tame ambition for a greater good, looking at the future of Kenya and not what you need as a leader at this particular time. He says presidents will change through generations, but Kenya will remain to be one. President Uhuru Kenyatta is just urging Kenya to just look at this as an opportunity to change the narrative in the country. Earlier on, before he spoke, opposition leader Raila Odinga also talked about this particular moment as an opportunity to save Kenya. He sees the BBI initiative as something that will save the nation, and also talked about how this process is going to take forth going forward, confirming the fact that they are going to be taking the popular initiative route vis-a-vis what was there earlier that was said to be the parliamentary route. Of course, we are going to be engaging in this conversation deeper just to understand more about the BBI initiative and whether it is what is going to save Kenya and heal what is ailing Kenya going forward. But allow me wind up with my guest, Mr. David Njoroge, the chairman of the Road Safety Network Association. Thank you so much, sir, for staying on and creating time for us. At the climax of our conversation, breaking news, the BBI report is out. Did you see this coming? David?
Yeah, sure. I did not see this coming. And it is interesting, and I think it is now to go through that BBI. Because said about it, and with what our president has said, I think we are going somewhere as a country. So let us first read. Now, no speculations. We need to see the document and make our judgment.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, David Njoroge Kiarie, the chairperson of the Road Safety Network, for creating time for us as we are talking about road safety. We appreciate your time, sir.